everyone, and welcome to the very, very late power rankings for TBU Season 4, Week 4. Look at that, double 4. Anyways,
Nice.
I'm here with Shroom Raver, as always. Shroom, how's it going?
Yes, indeed. It's going very well, thanks. Hello, everyone. It is Shroom over here. Yeah, apologies for the sort of slight, massive delay on the week four rankings. Various things have got in the way of us recording it, but we're not going to delay too much. We're just going to sort of jump straight into the week four rankings.
Yep, this is
And
super hyper week, so
yes,
let's
and
barrel through it.
thankfully we can kick off with number 16. That's not probably going to take too long. That's going to be Cloud.
He lost.
Cloud managed. He did. He took a big 5-0 loss to Jack. I liked seeing Murkrow, but we also saw no Mega Sableye versus his opponent Smeargle, which I didn't know about that. You know, Smeargle's a lead that likes to do hazard things. As it was, Cloud decided to try and set up and pass turn one versus Smeargle with Clefairy. That's not the Pokemon he had. Celebi is the right one. He got taunted, and then he kind of got well and truly zarded.
Love it. I love it when people get zarded. It's really unfortunate for them, but I just love the zards and their zarding ways.
Yeah, a Megazord Y came in on Weezing. He's like, oh, I've got to get out of there with Weezing because this is a special attacker. No, it's not. It set up a Dragon Dance and proceeded to just kill four things on Cloud's team.
That's how you
And
use
then,
Zard Y.
yeah. Yes, physically is how you use Zard Y. Yeah, that was a pretty rough time for Cloud, who continues to have a bit of a rough time of it. Yeah, not really too much more to say on that.
Yeah,
Zard Y is power.
you basically summed it up with physical Zard Y. Nothing else really needed to be mentioned. But now we can move on to number 15, which is Zskyranda, who no
Yes.
longer has Moltres, so I don't even know why we're covering him anymore, to be honest.
Very true. Sky took a 3-0 loss to. I'm not entirely sure who he took a 3-0 loss to. Can you?
It is Sheer Force.
Of course, yes. He took the loss to Sheer Force. Victini was always going to be a huge problem for Sky's team. He didn't really have too much that wanted to take a hit, and the fact that he was unable to get rocks up early kind of meant that Victini was free to just U-turn around as it wanted. Now, Sky was doing a pretty good job with, like, Jellicent, for example, played that really well. Warning out stuff while toxic, that was impressive. And not letting Chomp set up a sub at first. But Sky did start to misplay just a little bit, certainly around Beware. You know, he had a Scarfed Gardevoir. His opponent has Beware and Golbat, and he doesn't go for Psyshock when he probably should have. I just think in this one, Sky was unable to really ever get going. Sheer Force was kind of in his head, reading him quite well. And Sky knows that maybe this wasn't the best of decision-making on his part when team building. He knows that maybe playing to his strengths and running Sand Hyper Offense would have been the way to go here. He knows that, and he recognised it, so that's fair enough. An unfortunate loss. Yeah, not too much more to go on there. Just a little bit of poor planning, I think, on Sky's part.
Man, they've made it really easy for us this week to do, like, a hyperspeed version because they've all, like, just basically been destroyed by their opponents, so makes it easy to go through, like, yeah, they lost because of this. But anyways, we can move on to 14th, which is King L5. What is with all these people calling themselves kings? Like, where do they get off thinking that they can be called king? I'm not putting king in the title of anything. It's L5 until he proves and gives us documentation stating his kingly ancestry. But anyways,
his royal lineage.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta know King L5. Getting back to the true roots of Pokemon this week, just hacks the crap out of Kyle, which is always fun to see.
Yeah, L5 bringing was actually sort of a fairly standard-looking team. There wasn't anything fancy about it, really. It was just everything he needed. But yes, early hacks in his favour. He gets a very crucial Spadef drop on Venomoth turn 1 that literally saved him being 6-0'd. We'll come on to more of that when we talk about Kyle a bit later. He gets a crit on Zardex turn 5. He crits Crobat to make sure it can't live a Gengar hit. Gengar, incidentally, with 4 kills, put in a real shift for him this week. Scarfed Gengar, very good choice. And he was like, you know, mostly making safe plays. You know, you've got a fairly safe standard-looking team making fairly safe standard-looking plays, and sometimes that just works, so fair play to him. He had issues with Ferrothorn, but in the end, he did manage to get the job done. He took a huge risk at the end game for the sake of one differential, which worked out for him, but it was hairy. And once again, we'll come on to that more a bit later in the episode. But yeah, a nice 4-0 win for L5. Lucky, yes, but you take it as it comes.
Yep, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Moving on to 13th, we can continue with the hacks and talk about Jim.
Yeah, Jim and the Pine Cove Ramblers losing out with a very close 1-0 to Bub.
It's the Pine Cove Ramblers?
Yes, that too. Jim brought some interesting stuff. Dual screens on Latias and Rabombi, because screens are necessary. He wanted to set up behind them with like Howl and Z-Dig Entei. Love it, by the way. The first turns were just kind of screen wars. Jim's screener goes down, but he has another one waiting. Nidoqueen was putting on huge pressure. He gets critted a few times that weren't particularly game-changing. Managed to get a nice explosion off with Giglith. That's always nice to see. Basically, Jim was actually just playing this game exactly as he should have done. He was making all the right plays, basically. Entei started to do Entei things and sort of wrecked Bub's face. And then at the end, Nidoqueen got flinched, so it couldn't take Magierna's hit. That was unfortunate. And then you've got the end game of a +1 Magierna with Thunderbolt versus a fairly bulky Mega Gyarados behind a light screen. There is no way the Thunderbolt kills, and he gets a crit on Jim's Mega Gyara, which lost him the game.
I remember
Yeah, go on.
We were in call as this match happened because it was on Showdown, so we were watching the match go down. And it was us and a couple other people, and we started calking the Thunderbolt, and I'm pretty sure it was not only a crit, but it was like just enough of a crit to kill. Because
Yeah,
the
it was a
Gyarados
high roll crit.
Yeah, it was a high roll crit, because it did like, according to the calcs, it was supposed to do around behind the screen like 46%. The Gyarados is at like 90% HP. So
Yeah.
it was
It
like
was a very high roll crit.
It was the utmost of unfortunate.
Yeah, which is why Jim hasn't moved down despite losing, because realistically he did everything correctly in this game. And this is just the epitome of losing to things beyond your control. There was nothing he could do.
Yeah, pretty much. But
Really unfortunate.
We're making great time, actually. So let's move on to 12th place, which is Dokes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Dokes taking a 1-0 loss to Paulie Mac. Dokes bringing the cheekiest of double choice band cores. We like seeing that. His team was so hugely pressured by water, and especially in this case Floatzel. But he did manage to get through and take it out eventually through a little bit of mind game stuff against Paul. So, you know, he turned what could have been an absolute whitewash into a much closer game than some people thought it was going to be. He didn't have too much to stand up to Paul's power, but then again, Paul didn't have all that much to stand up to his. You've got a Diggersby and a Tapu Koko, the latter of which was banded, kind of putting enough pressure on to keep it competitive. And I think he played the end game very well. You know, he was getting chipped as where he needed to. He saved the right Mons until the very end. It came down to a Roserade versus a banded Tapu Koko, but that Roserade is Cobra Berry and did come through against him. So Dokes actually played a pretty good game. It was a very offensive, pacey game. Yeah, enjoyable to watch. Unfortunate that the Clutch Berry came through against him in the end, really.
Yeah, I mean, Dokes would have won if it had not been for Cobra Berry, so I think he played very well.
Absolutely.
But
very much so.
You pretty much summed it up. I just wanted to point out that banded Tapu Koko, I didn't know was the thing, but I love it now. Because it gets Brave Bird for some reason. It's clearly the best of birds, aside from Caracosta himself.
And P2.
And P2. Wait, what?
I'll tell you about that afterwards.
I'm not talking to you after this. Anyways, let's move on to 11th place, which has Rizzy Pow, who had a victory over Alex by 3-0 against Alex.
Yeah. A good fun game here. With some cool speed-based sets for Riz. You know, you've got an agility Mega Scizor. It wasn't even Baton Pass. It was just agility, 3 attacks Mega Scizor, I believe, because let's get speedy and let's kill things. Also, Scarfed Uxie. Love it. Love me some Scarfed Uxie. Beautifully done. Well played indeed, Riz. Have the stack early. Good start for him. You know, he knows that Alex doesn't have much in the way of hazard removal, and he took full advantage. He was pressured by Dragonite, but, you know, he's got that Scizor doing really well, and Togekiss just kind of being a dick as we would expect it to. And yeah, I think I don't really have too much more about Riz to say. He just played a very solid game with a lot of speed-based pressure. Uxie KOing Tapu Lele because of the scarf. Really big fan of that personally. And I've also got what I've got written down here. I've got written down that his Kingdra name was very good, but I don't actually remember what his Kingdra name was.
It must not have been that good.
It was probably I probably thought it was funny at the time and had a little chuckle to myself. But
I like how
yeah.
I like how looking at the score sheet, everything got a single kill except Nidoking, which probably should have gotten like 8 of the kills.
Yes.
So I just find that
very
amusing.
much so.
But Mega Scizor stole Nidoking's 1 kill, and then Uxie, Politoed, and Togekiss stole the other 3 it probably should have had.
Yeah. Yeah. A well played game by Riz. You know, he knew what he needed to do early, get up the hazards, put the pressure on with his speedy stuff. And yeah, it works out for him very nicely.
I wish I could also say that Riz did well, but he brought Scarf Uxie and has Uxie
awesome.
instead of Mesprit, so I can't even begin to express how disappointed I am in him. Anyways, let's move on to, I believe, number 10 is next. Yes, number 10 we have Trev, the king. I'm telling you, Shroom, we're gonna have to like go through the documents on each of these players and figure out who and who is not actually a king, because this is not okay.
There are too many.
Yeah, we're going to have to make them battle to the death. Anyways, go ahead and tell us about the match.
I was going to say, you said earlier, just now, about your disappointment, but Trev losing 4-0 to Sly.
It's because he's not a real king. A real king would not lose to Slyro.
This is true. But Trev taking a 4-0 loss here. Nice call on the T-Spikes. And then with the building, just EVs all over the place. This is some of the best overall EVing we've seen. There were just EVs scattered around his entire team to take hits and live hits and dish out extra damage and speed. Just brilliant. Well done. What else we got? Skill swap Kofagrigus for Kamala. I liked that. I liked that a lot.
That's probably the second most beautiful thing to happen in this match, other than Kamala going for substitute to avoid it.
Yes, that whole thing between Kofagrigus and Kamala was outstanding. I was a huge fan of it. Early on, we see Trev over-predicting a bit around Palisand, subbing up when Sly was just like, nope, I'm attacking. He lost a lot of ground to Arcanine, then he lost further ground with the whole Kamala versus Kofagrigus little bit there. Basically, Kofagrigus was going to skill swap and Toxic the Kamala, but it was completely ruined when Kamala went for sub, and Kofagrigus was like,
And then Kamala proceeded to kill, like, 2 or 3 Mons.
Yes, which was so good to see on a personal level. I loved seeing that happen. Yeah, he just kept losing a bit of ground here and there. He was left eventually with just his defense of Kofagrigus and Fortress, which allowed Sly to save differential and sort of clean up with Electabuzz. So, yeah, there was really nice ideas here from Trev. Just unfortunately, they weren't able to come into fruition.
Yeah, Slyro doesn't know how to actually use Kamala, and he had to suffer for it, but... Anyways, who brings Kamala and doesn't just make it a rapid spinner? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Anyways, we could actually talk about that a little bit more because in 9th place we have Slyro. So
yes,
I'm going to immediately take back everything I just said in defense of Trev and then say probably the best thing Slyro's ever done in his entire life, other than draft Arcanine literally every draft he's ever in, is to use Kamala as he did today. It was really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Looking at sort of his team building video, he did say, I'm pretty sure, that pretty much everything he had was a legitimate option, which of course is false because Sly has an Aggron, which is never a legitimate option. A nice Palisand set looking to work, sub-bulk up Kamala, which not only do we love, but also worked. What else have I got here? He said, yeah, I don't really have much for Drapion, he says, and then brings mono psychic attacking Clefable. It's ballsy. We'll see how that worked out. And I thought Kofagrigus was going to be a problem, but unfortunately, he possibly inadvertently had the perfect Kamala set to take it on. Yeah, well played Palisand early on. Arcanine gets a kill, finally, and then another one comes. Kamala does all of the work, and yeah, eventually Clef was just left to do Clef things, and it was a long, slow, drawn-out, and painful death for Kofagrigus.
Yeah, it was really bad. I skipped the end of that match. But anyways...
it took so long.
It was horrible, but
yeah.
I just have this beautiful image in my mind of Kamala with literally the other 5 Pokemon on his back as he just wins the match.
Yeah.
just the image of an Arcanine, a Clefable, and then a Landoi on top of one another on top of a Kamala. There's something special about that.
With a Palisand on top of them somehow.
Yeah, Palisand is like floating above them because he's apparently a ghost. But anyways,
of course,
Electabuzz didn't get to be part of the party because Electabuzz. Anyways, let's move on to the top 8 where we have Sheer Force in first. I believe we talked about his match earlier against Sky.
Yes, the 3-0 victory there, Victini being a monster threat. I was kind of expecting to see Choice Banded Beware here because it looked to be a big, big threat as well, but he actually ended up bringing a Rest Talk set, I believe, which was cool. I was surprised not to see a Alolan Sandslash as well, looking to take advantage of the hail and a few weaknesses on Sky's side. And then we talk about sort of mixed sets, but this was like the ultimate in mixed Tangrowth, because it had Leech Seed for potential stalling, but then HP Flying for Boswell, but then Brick Break as well. So it was a physical attacker and a special attacker and a defensive stalling Pokemon. So, yeah, well played there. Managing to make Tangrowth basically into 3 Pokemon.
Who needs 3 different sets when you can just put them all onto the single Mon?
Precisely, exactly. And then just whack Leaf Storm on there at the end, just because why not? What else have we got here? Golbat was causing problems. He made the manly play. You've got Jellicent in versus Golbat, so Golbat goes for Super Fang, predicting the switch. Very nice. And what else do we have here? Oh, yes, Z Aerial Ace was nice, except his opponent had a Koba Berry Boswell, so we're seeing a lot of this kind of berry stuff happening this week.
Specifically Koba.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is interesting.
People have finally found the way to stop bird spam from always winning. Just put a Koba Berry on literally everything you own.
Except that none of the Koba Berries that popped were due to flying types. It was a Z Aerial Ace from Garchomp, and the other one was a Brave Bird from Coco.
Are you trying to tell me that Garchomp is not a bird?
We'll have to ask Sigi, he'll know.
Yeah, he's all about the birds. Anyways.
We'll ask him afterwards. He was making just really nice plays from Sheer Force all along. Like, for example, this whole HP Flying for Buzzwole, but he has that situation, but he makes the prediction as his opponent goes into Jellicent to go for Leaf Storm, even though he had that specifically for it. So just really nice thinking from Sheer Force. And eventually, he kind of just gets to the point where Victini can click moves and kill things.
That is my favorite point in any match. Actually, probably my second favorite point, because my first favorite is when you send out Tyrantrum and everything just dies to Head Smash. But Victini being able to go out and kill things just by clicking buttons is definitely a close second.
And then the last point I wanted to say was Skyrander Destiny bonding on the Switch into Beware with Sky's Frostlass, I believe it was.
Yes.
So he knows that the D-bond is there, and then Sheer Force just reads the Excadrill switch like a book and goes for Hammer Arm.
He did
it just works out perfectly.
He did really well with predicting what was coming in when. Like,
yeah, this is a great game for predicting.
Between Jellicent, the Leaf Storm, and then the Hammer Arming the whatever it is you just said, the Excadrill.
Yeah.
It was really well done on his part. But
yeah,
let's move on. Let's move on to number 7, which has Alex.
Yes, Alex taking an unfortunate 3-0 loss this week, as we mentioned, against Riz. He brings the Life Orb Hurricane D-Knight versus the Rain. Always nice seeing that. And D-Knight was looking to pressure Riz, who, as far as I'm aware, had no flying resists. So
it's
really nice
fine. You just have to put Koba Berries on everything, as we've already discussed.
This is very true. Very true indeed. But he did get super low roll on Togekiss, which is unfortunate. Then Porygon 2 on Alex's side got Togekissed. It just seemed like the early loss of Lantern seemed to be a problem for him here. He had good offense, but it was always weakened like just enough to be picked off. So yeah, Alex, it looked like he had some very nice anti-rain prep, but he was kind of done in a little bit by, 1 or 2 low rolls here and there, Togekiss doing Togekiss things, and yeah, just some, again, we mentioned it with Riz, just really nice set building on Riz's side, kind of allowed him to take this one here. So another unfortunate loss for Alex, but showing really nice signs in his team building for counter-teaming.
Yeah. Yeah, you pretty much summed it up. I don't remember this match very well, so I don't have anything to add. I think this was one of the first ones I watched. I'm pretty sure I watched this one when it happened as well, because it was also done on Showdown, or I at least watched some of it. And so that was a good while ago. I don't really remember all of what went down. But let's move on to number 6, which has another False King, Bub.
Yeah. Bub taking, as we mentioned, the 1-0 win over Jim. He was well prepped. Like, I remember in his team building video, he specifically mentioned the danger of dual screens Rabombi, which is not the kind of ideal set that you would think someone would bring, but it was the one that was brought here because he saw the danger of setting up behind screens. I don't think he expected dual screens, though.
Yeah, no
So
one
that was...
ever accounts for the second set of dual screens.
Yeah, no one expects it, but he did have a screen setter of his own. And, continuing down the theme of that Pokemon gets dual screens, it was Virizion.
Why do some of these Pokemon get reflected light screen?
Dual screens Virizion, with Carmine, Trick Room, Magiana, and Double Dance Thunderous Therian was the theme of the day here with Bub, which is cool. And Virizion actually proved to be a huge defensive problem. It was actually doing really well in its role, setting up screens, healing itself up when it needed to, which was a little bit hampered by the sandstorm occasionally, but it was fine. He did take unnecessary damage on Latios sort of early on due to an overprediction, and eventually did lose it, which that kind of helped with. And he did get those couple of early crits that you mentioned earlier, but nothing too crucial. I was surprised initially when he had that whole Virizion getting exploded on situation with Gigalith when Mega Absol could have killed. But I do know why he did it. It was, he did explain the fact that there was, I believe, a screen up at the time, and he didn't want a free switch into Mega Gyarados when there was a screen up with his Mega Absol in. So at the time we were all very confused as to why he just didn't kill the Gigalith, but that is why, and it's fair reasoning. And he looked to be behind after Entei's kind of killing spree. But then, he nasty plots with Thunderous on a healing wish, which was spooky, and it was looking like it could go either way. Gets the fortunate Dark Pulse finish on Nidoqueen, and then that very fortunate crit at the end on Mega Gyarados gifts him the 1-0 victory.
Once again, going back to the base roots of Pokemon, and just like, if you have no chance, flinch and crit your opponent until you win, because that's how the real champs do it.
Absolutely, that is how it's done. These wins don't always come without a healthy dose of luck. It was a well played game. To take nothing away from Bob, he did play it well, even though sort of slightly stranger decisions. He did have his good reasoning behind them. So a well played game on his part. He did get very lucky, it has to be said. But as we've said with previous games, you take the wins as you can.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if the game decides that you need to win, then you just say thank you, game. I can't wait for you to screw me over next time.
Yes.
But anyways.
Very much so.
It's never I think we need to make the distinction. You never get lucky at Pokemon. Your opponent gets unlucky. And you're just building up your karma for when you get unlucky.
Yeah. It comes and goes.
Yeah.
It comes and goes.
Pretty much. But let's wow, we're not even at half an hour yet. We can actually do this pretty speedy when we want to.
Nice.
5th place, we have Jack, the Wolverhampton Weaviles, who got that powerful 5-0 after zarding Cloud to oblivion.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, not too much really to say here, other than the fact that Cresselia plus Umbreon is actually disgusting. Jack, please, can you stop?
Yeah, Jack, we're gonna
that's not cool.
Jack, we're gonna have to ask you to just when we say stop, we don't mean stop bringing them or stop drafting that. We just mean stop existing.
Yeah, that's gross, and you can't just do that.
Yeah, you see, when we allowed both Cresselia and Umbreon to be draftable Pokemon, which was not our decision at the time, but we deigned it okay. We never actually expected someone to be such a horrible human being to draft the both of them.
Yes, absolutely. Although I suppose it has to be said in this game, neither of them, I believe, made an appearance because they didn't need to.
Exactly. So you don't need to draft them together.
Yeah, exactly. Everything just went well for Jack from the start. He prevents the early nasty plot pass. Interesting stuff from Jack's side of things. He has that weird recording effect where you can make it sort of look softer and less liney. I don't know, but it also means that Weezing looks like it's having a rave. All the smoke on Weezing was replaced by shiny pyramids.
I think you're talking about, it's called Citra, I believe.
Ah, right, yes. That's
I don't know where that came from. I first saw it on one of Eric's matches back when he was still around, but it is beautiful. I love it.
It is, but have a look at this one, because you'll see Weezing, and as I say, all the smoke is replaced by shiny pink pyramids, and I don't know why.
It sounds amazing. I'm going to have to go back. I don't think I watched it from his perspective. I think I watched Zard's perspective, so I'm definitely going to have to go check that out.
But essentially, Megazard Y came in, set up a DD, and casually killed 4 things. And then, yeah, Primarina was just left to kind of clean up the Murkrow and the Steelix. So, yeah, a huge win from Jack. He didn't even allow his opponent to get the KO. Like, Zard was like, I have done my time here. I will kill myself to recoil. And that was it.
My people need me. Flare Blitz,
Yes.
take me away.
That was basically the way of it.
But
So,
yeah,
a good win for Jack, basically.
that sums that up pretty much. The light pyramids of wheezing.
Yeah.
So now we move on to a bit of an upset. We haven't talked about this match yet, but the champion, the unbeatable one, the great eventual Season 4 champ, Leo, has been defeated by 4th place currently, Ethan.
Yeah, a 2-0 win for Ethan here. This was this was brilliantly done by Ethan across the board, basically.
He brought a Mudsdale?
Looking at his team, he did. He did bring Mudsdale, which looked to be his only Jolteon stop. So we, and indeed Leo, was thinking it's going to be some kind of bulkier set. He actually brings Choice Banded, which was interesting. I thought his decisions with berries was interesting here as well. He brings Earthquake on Mega Pinsir for a potential Chop or Registeel. But I'd have thought Shuckle would be more common, especially since Mudsdale was definitely coming to this game. But it didn't really come into play too much, so I guess it's fine. Yeah, Choice Band Mudsdale, Suicune very well prepared for a Seismitoad fight with Subtoxic. And yeah, just in the game, Ethan just seemed to be ahead mentally most of the time. He was making these really cheeky double switches early on, which got himself massive initiative. And every time he did, he could just bring in Mudsdale, and it put on so much pressure on Leo. And basically, whenever Mudsdale came in, something was going to drop because there was no shaming on his opponent's side, but we'll come on to that decision later. He was taking his opportunities well, like he knows he can safety defog on Toad, for example, so he saves that. And then, yeah, this surprise Hidden Power Grass by Raikou on the side of Toad switch, when so far he'd just been making safe plays for the past few turns, was really nice to see. He did make a bit of a misplay, it seems. You know, he had an opportunity to KO Infinite with Suicune, but he didn't. But again, he had his reasons. Thinking ahead was always the way here. And he was able to pressure with Mudsdale again just at the end game before being in a position where Skuntank could kind of come in and clean up with Sucker Punch. So Ethan making these fantastic plays, fantastic reads, and he was always just seemed to be one step ahead and never allowed Leo to really get himself going in this one. So very well played.
Yeah, he did incredibly well. He really threw Leo off. I watched from Leo's perspective because I like live comms and Leo live comms everything. And he was incredibly thrown off when he saw the Mudsdale damage, and it really put him on the back foot, and Ethan took advantage of that and went through. And then the triple Dark-type move on Skuntank was also just having Pursuit, Crunch, and Sucker Punch. The Sucker Punch was what came in and won him the game at the end, and it was just well done on Ethan's part.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well done indeed, and a well-deserved win. So, with that, moving on to position number 3, and that is going to be Kyle of the Harlem Gloomtrotters, who, as we mentioned, took that 4-0 loss to L5. I was mildly surprised not to see a bit of something like a Trick Room Reuniclus on Kyle's team, which could ruin L5, but he had his plans, which meant he didn't need that kind of thing, so fair enough.
Too bad his plans didn't account for Spadef drops.
That's true. And just before that, I was a big fan of seeing sub Natural Gift Ice Breloom. Very cool. We like it. Yes, this whole situation with the turn 1, basically, Kyle had a Venomoth, and his opponent leads with Gengar, who is Scarfed. Now, essentially what happens here is, if the Gengar is not Scarfed, Kyle's play is to set up a Quiver Dance with a Venomoth and pass it into Starmie. If the Gengar is not Scarfed, he outspeeds on the second turn, passes into Starmie, takes a hit, and then can kill off the Gengar and recover up when he needs to, and Life Orb Starmie at +1 would take out L5's entire team. If the Gengar is Scarfed as it was, he'll take a second Shadow Ball, for example, after his Spadef boost from Quiver Dance, and then pass that into the Starmie, and the same thing will happen. He will 6-0 L5's team, but the Spadef drop turn 1 means that can't happen, and that saves the 6-0, basically. And we thought that was bad enough, but then turn 5, Zardex gets critted, which completely mattered, so turn 5, he's down 6-4 with 2 hits that really mattered. Those bits of hacks were massive. So he was playing for differential from turn 5, basically. And then Crobat got crit as well, so it couldn't live a hit from Gengar, which it was meant to. He was making some Hail Mary switches into Starmie, and Pharaoh was doing some really nice, desperate rearguard action. And then at the end, he rolled the dice playing for his opponent's choke, which, well, rather playing for the fact that
he didn't. This is actually what I want to talk about, because this is where I'm honestly upset with Kyle. Because Kyle goes and describes his thought process and says, if he chokes here, I can still win the game despite all of this horribleness. Like, after all of the absolute hacks he went through that basically determined that you have to lose this game, he still had a chance, and he's like, nah, I'm just going to try and get the differential, like get an extra point or 2 of differential, and goes for Mach Punch. And then his opponent chokes. He could have won if he had just, like, I don't understand Kyle at all in that moment, because the way I saw it was, you're, saving 1-2 differential when you're already, I'm pretty sure this is Kyle's first loss. He's already plenty fine in the leaderboards as is. He doesn't need the differential that badly, especially with the way our playoffs work. Like, you don't get first place from having the best differential. You get into playoffs for having a certain amount better than everyone else, and then you can win from there. So, like, it seemed completely unnecessary to me for him to try to save his differential in that moment, and the fact that he didn't go for the natural gift ice, honestly, I was just like, you could have won, Kyle. And even if he hadn't choked, I mean, what's the big deal? You're down an extra 2 points. I'm pretty sure you're still going to make playoffs. You've done so well so far.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate series of events for Kyle. Yeah, the end game, maybe he should have just gone with his gut. But it's difficult sometimes to do that when you've had so much bad luck early on. You do start questioning yourself a lot more when that has happened. So I can kind of see where he's coming from, and it's a bit more forgivable given his situation.
Listen to this good cop trying to give people out. Nah, Kyle's a failure. He messed up.
And also,
it's over.
if he'd have pulled that off, it would have been just like the play of the century.
It would have been. I would have gone to the analyst page and been like, listen, I'm the admin now, and all of your videos have to include Kyle's comeback. I don't care. I don't care if your video is next week previews. You have to mention Kyle's comeback, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. So an unfortunate first loss taken there by Kyle, but we'll have to see how he kind of bounces back from that.
Yep, let's move on to number 2. We're a little over half an hour, so we can still finish this before like 35 minutes. We have Paul in second place, and I know what some of you are thinking, like, wait a minute, Leo lost. What happened? We can never allow Paul. We can never allow Paul to have first place is the main reason. But anyways, Paul got a narrow 1-0 victory this week using the mighty strength of Floatzel.
Yes. He knows that his opponent basically does not enjoy water, so Paul went water spam.jpg. He had sort of water moves wherever he could. He's got Floatzel with 3 water moves. He's got Surf on Hydreigon. He's other water moves as well were present also. He was sort of had some difficulties with the team building because I know he wanted to bring Flame Child Lola Marowak. Knowing that it could do some work, but wise that he didn't, knowing that he can't set up on anything that Dokes could viably bring. So good decision to bring a bulkier set there. And yes, okay, Paul, you brought Modest Specs Hydreigon. It's fun. I know you want me to mention it, so here it is. You bought Modest Specs Hydreigon. There you go. Are you happy now? He was going on and on about it, so I figured I'd probably best mention it. Looking at sort of how the game went, it didn't look like too good of a start, with Sylveon looking kind of useless after a turn 1 crit. But he knew to keep Floatzel safe because it kind of kills all of the things on his opponent's team. And eventually it did come out of the game with 2 kills. So that's not bad. Floatzel is actually looking really good this season.
I haven't looked at the statistics to be able to say this with certainty, so I'm basically just making guesstimations. But I think it's probably one of the top viewer picks in terms of use and actually doing things, if not number 1 at the moment. Because I know that is his viewer pick. I haven't been paying attention much to everyone else's viewer picks, but I know that Paul's been doing really well with Floatzel, so it's definitely up there for one of the best viewer picks, if not the best.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm going to have a quick look and see. It's currently has played 4 games and is sitting at 4-3.
Is that with week 5's information?
It could be. I don't know.
I don't know either. So it's possibly played every single game, or it's at least played 4 out of 5 of them.
Yes. So it's doing really well. And then, he did lose his float still a bit earlier than he had wanted to. Kind of because choice band Tapu Koko is a monster, and yeah, maybe Paul kind of overpredicted a little bit, but he was able to bring it round with an end game that we are going to talk about for a little bit, but probably not as long as Paul talked about it himself.
Paul, listen,
seriously.
Listen here, man. I understand, like, the way YouTube works now. You got to get those mid-ad rolls, but you were already over 10 minutes. You didn't have to add that extra 3 minutes of theory modding to a match you won.
Yeah, I mean, the end game had a fair few ways of playing out, but Paul, my dude, get to the point.
We have other matches to watch. We can't sit through 3 minutes of you theory crafting 7 different scenarios for one match that you've already won.
Yes, it took him a while, but he did eventually get there with that 1v1 we talked about earlier. Cobraberry Roserade, another good decision on his part, coming through and getting that last kill. Hydreigon put in work, picking up the other 3 kills that we didn't mention. So yeah, a very nice game by Paul, a good win, and it puts him in, a really nice position.
I believe... No, that's not a week 4. Never mind. Anyways, sorry, this is so late that I'm getting statistics messed up with week 4 and 5,
yeah,
so pretend I didn't say anything. Let's really quickly get through number 1, because we're at like 36 minutes now. But number 1 is still Leo. He's still sitting up top because his match was very close, and he did get really psyched out, and everyone has a bad day here and there, but...
Yeah. We're not going to move him down too far, he's still sort of one of the top players, and he still played very impressively. And we do like to look back and see sort of how the power rankings are affected in a loose sense by games gone by and how they're basically looking in terms of the general performance.
We're still pretty sure that Leo is going to win by the end of this. And
it's possible.
Paul and Kyle, both being second and third, have a fair chance at beating him, but I still think he's going to win it out, so that's why he's still in first, mainly. That, and like I said before, we can never... Kyle couldn't go into first because he lost, and we can never allow Paul to have first.
Never. It's not happening. But yeah, looking at the team, again, very nice builds. Jolteon is able, with this build, to take a +2 quick attack from Mega Pinsir, and it kind of destroys Ethan's team outside of that Mudsdale. Also, Endeavor Seismitoad. It's cool. I didn't even know that Seismitoad got Endeavor. It's one of those weird moves where it's like, oh, this gets Endeavor, and for some reason, Seismitoad is one.
I want to talk with the producers of Pokemon who are in charge of what gets what moves. And firstly, I'm going to ask them, why doesn't Caracosta... Dang it, I keep saying Costa because of Liam. Why doesn't Caracosta get Brave Bird? And why does everything else get everything it gets? Because you guys are idiots.
Yeah. The whole point about that Seismitoad was that it can't stop Crocoon like setting up, but it can stop it from doing any form of damage. And it had investment to live certain grass coverage moves as well. We saw physical autotomize Z Smart Strike Necrozma, which was cool. But yeah, as we've mentioned, Ethan was just in his head early on, and I have to say, Leo's reaction when he realized that Mudsdale was choice banded was priceless.
It was amazing, dude. I love watching Leo's perspective. It's so good.
He's in there and he's like, oh yeah, the Mudsdale can come in, it can do a little bit, and the ball's going down and down and down, and it hits like 65%. And he's like, what? That is banded.
Dude,
then it was a problem.
I love watching Leo's live reaction. Live reactions are so good. I understand not everyone has the time for it, and some people don't even like watching them because they're so long. But moments like that, and then throwback to Raiquin, like Season 1 of PPL, where he got frozen.
Yes.
I believe he live-conned that, if I'm remembering correctly. It was beautiful.
It was. But yeah, going back to this one, as we said, Ethan seemed to be in Leo's head, and he was kind of grounding Leo, not letting him do his thing, and he manages to wrestle back some kind of initiative with Jolteon. Like, he's making plays with Baton Pass, and he's getting himself a bit, but Ethan just wasn't playing ball. And then, when he lost Seismitoad on the HP Grass switch, after, like, Volt switches have been gone for on ground types, and it's all been going wrong for Leo, and he was just like, he looked a little bit done with the whole situation. He still kept that Necrozma back. Like, there was still the chance. There was always the chance he could turn it around. And it's a credit to him that he didn't get lured into a panicked early setup, which players can do. When things are going wrong and you've got this setup sweeper, it can be easy to just go into them at the first possible chance you get. But he wasn't lured into it. He went in at the right time when enough damage had been done to his opponent's stuff. By that time, it was too late. the Skuntank clean up. Now, yeah, Shaman might have helped in this game. We know Leo wanted to bring it, but he didn't. But that's what hindsight can do. You look back, and it's not always healthy doing that. Like, there's no reason to beat yourself about it. It was a decision that just didn't go your way at the time. And yeah, Leo's still looking like a solid player. And I can only imagine the rage with which he will bounce back next week.
I cannot wait to see his Week 5 match. I think he's up against Jack.
That's going to be a good match.
Yeah,
actually.
Jack is a pretty good player, as we saw this week with Zard action. So I look forward to seeing if it's going to be Zard or Necrozma that put in the most action next week.
For sure.
But anyways, I think we're done then, just at 40 minutes. So not as quick as we wanted, but still pretty good. I think this is one of the shorter ones. Yeah, man, we can actually do things in a timely manner when we feel like it.
Yeah. I had 2.5 years of practice.
Yeah, tell me about it. But have I been doing this crap for that long? What am I doing with my life?
Well, seasons.
Oh, seasons.
Yeah.
I have been doing YouTube for like 3 years, though. Anyways, thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed the power rankings. Be sure to let us know what you think in the comments and all that. Check out the coaches and everything. Stuff will be in the descriptions. We're sorry about this being late. Week 5 will hopefully be on time, or at least closer to on time than this is, because this is going up like Sunday or Monday or something like that. But anything to say, Shroom?
Not too much to add, no. Just as I say, to echo Chaos and saying thank you for watching. Keep your eyes peeled for all the coaches' Week 5 battles, which are sort of going up as we speak.
I think they're all already uploaded.
Are they already up?
I think so.
But yeah, keep an eye out for those battles as well, of course. They're here. They're doing things. So watch them, because they're good, probably. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me. Do you wanna see us out?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you for Week 5 Power Rankings eventually. Until then, farewell.
Laters.